A very good evening to you, or good morning if you're with me here in Sydney, Australia. Now, before you ask how have I managed to get here, you will know that I have always called lockdown the greatest hoax in human history. I have never subscribed to it. So in terms of hypocrisy, I see that with politicians who are locking people down, but I've never been an advocate for that. Here in Australia, as I arrived, Melbourne was going into lockdown at midnight. There are now 12 million Australians in lockdown, and in Melbourne, the most draconian lockdown being imposed again. People no longer allowed more than 5 kilometres from their home address, only allowed to leave to provide care or to get food or for their daily exercise within a limited radius. I think there's something I can observe already here is that they've been able to twist the COVID conversation. I know we see it a little bit in the UK, but here really making it about cases. So there are only 3 cases in Melbourne. Just to re-articulate that, to reiterate, there are only 3 cases in Melbourne, and yet Melbourne has gone into the harshest of lockdowns. You're not allowed more than 5k from your house over 3 cases. And hence, I suppose, that anger and frustration boiling out onto the streets. The second thing here is the clear push for vaccines, but there aren't sufficient vaccines in the country for those that might want them. There are some, quite frankly, frightening adverts on the Australian TV pushing for the vaccine, and yet those vaccines aren't here or available for the age group that those adverts are being targeted at. There is also talk of a lottery here, again rewarding people with a financial incentive to have the vaccine, and yet there aren't enough vaccines here for people to be able to have the vaccine to enter the lottery. You see where this is going. And then there is the hypocrisy of political leaders going off to the G7 or to watch the Euros whilst their people are locked down. It's hard to observe much when you're in isolation or quarantine, but what I can observe is a country that is deeply unhappy and is being deeply disrupted by cases of COVID.